Hi, I'm Miiko. Today we're going to read a story from the Easy Eevreet storybook series. Eevreet means Hebrew. This book is called The Widow and the Prophet. You can get this book and the rest of the series on Amazon.com. Let's get started. This book is based on 2 Kings, chapter 4, verses 4 through 10. We'll read this story like any English storybook, and when we get to a Hebrew word, we'll do our best to sound it out and guess the meaning. Knock, knock. The Isha inside could hear the voice loud and clear. You see this word here? Isha. Isha means woman. Your husband has died, I know that, but he has left many debts. He owes me money. If you can't pay the debts, I want your 2 children. They will be my avadim. I will be back for either money or avadim. You see this word here? Let's read it together. Avadim. Avadim means slaves. The woman's husband was a God-fearing Navi, and he had passed away not long before. Navi. Navi means prophet. The Isha knew he had left many debts, but what was she to do about her children? Do you remember from the page before? Isha means woman. This man wanted lakachat, her 2 sons, and make them his avadim. Lakachat means to take. And if you remember from the page before, avadim means slaves. This man wanted lakachat to take her 2 sons and make them his avadim, his slaves. The widow turned to Elisha, the great Navi of those days, for help. Navi means prophet. Elisha said to her, "How can I help you? Tell me, what do you have in your bait?" Bait. Bait means house. Said the Isha, "All I have at home is a jar of shemen." Shemen means oil. Elisha said, "Go to all your shchenim and borrow many rekim, jars, and kelim. Borrow as many as possible. Go to all your shchenim, shchenim means neighbors, and borrow many rekim, rekim means empty, jars, and kelim. Kelim means containers or vessels. Borrow as many as possible. Then go home and shut the delet. Shut the door. Pour shemen from your jar into each kli and set the male ones aside." Let's do that paragraph again. Then go home and shut the delet, right? Delet means door. Pour shemen. Do you remember shemen from the page before? Shemen means oil. Pour oil from your jar into each kli. A kli is a vessel. And set the male ones aside. Set the full ones aside. The Isha did exactly what the prophet Elisha had told her. She went to her shchenim, her neighbors, and borrowed many rekim, jars, and kelim. She borrowed many empty jars and kelim, vessels. Then the Isha closed the delet of her bait. She started pouring shemen into the kelim. The elder son handed his mother a large kli made of clay. The Isha poured the shemen, and the shemen dripped. The Isha poured the shemen, and the shemen kept flowing. Remember, shemen means oil. It filled the kli more and more until the kli became completely male. The vessel became completely full. The elder son took the large kli and put it aside. And still the shemen kept flowing. The shemen did not stop going. The younger son handed his mother a small kli made of clay. The Isha poured the shemen, and the shemen dripped. The Isha poured the shemen, and the shemen kept flowing. It filled the kli more and more until the kli became completely male. The younger son took the small kli and put it aside. And still the shemen kept going. The shemen did not stop flowing. And so they went on and on. The children kept bringing their mother kelim rekim, and the shemen kept flowing and pouring until the kelim were mleim to the very top. And the shemen kept going. The shemen did not stop flowing. After filling kelim for a long time, the Isha said to her son, "Give me another kli." The children looked to the right. The children looked to the left. There were no kelim rekim in the back. There were no kelim rekim in the front. There were no kelim rekim left at all. So the son said to his mother, "There are no more kelim rekim." And at that moment, the shemen stopped flowing. The Isha went to Elisha and told him what had happened. And Elisha told her, "Go sell the shemen. The money will be more than enough to pay the debts. You and your sons will be able to live comfortably for the rest of your lives from the money that is left." And that's the end of that story. And here are the Hebrew words from this easy Eevreet story. Isha means woman. Avadim, slaves. If it's only one slave, the word is eved. Oved means a worker or an employee. Avodah means work. Navi means prophet. Lakachat, to take. The word kach means take. When you add the letter lamed to the beginning of a word, it's like adding the word to. So lakachat means to take. Bait means house. Shemen, oil. Shchenim means neighbors. Shachen is one neighbor. Kelim means vessels. If it's only one vessel, use the word kli. Rekim means empty. In Hebrew, the words in a sentence are in a different order than how we speak in English. In English, we say empty vessels, but in Hebrew, it would be vessels empty. In Hebrew, the description word also needs to be plural. Empty vessels, kelim rekim, vessels empty. If you want to describe only one thing as being empty, use this word, reik. Kli reik means empty vessel. Delet means door. Male means full. Mleim, full. Again, we see how Hebrew sentences are written in a different order than English sentences are. In English, we say full vessel, but in Hebrew, it would be vessel full. We also see how the description word must be plural. Kli male, full vessel, one full vessel. Kelim mleim, full vessels, more than one full vessel. Full vessels is kelim mleim. Now you know some pretty awesome Hebrew words. You can use your Hebrew words around the house or with friends. It will be fun to close the delet or ask for a male cup of water. Just try to stay away from convincing your friend to be your eved. You can get The Widow and the Prophet and more books from the Easy Eevreet storybook series on Amazon.com. If you don't know how to read Hebrew yet, you can get my other book, Learn to Read Hebrew in 6 Weeks. And you can learn how to write with the Hebrew workbook. They're all available on Amazon.com.